number one, it's not on you to make the meaning. You are accompanying, you are not writing the script of this person's grief. And knowing when to like let people come up for air. Because the 4 can hold their breath for a really long time in desolation, but sometimes other people need a minute. So yeah, just as a 4, being aware that other people's relationship to intensity is not the same as yours, and like letting them take a break as needed.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the second part of an exciting and wonderful and very special interview with Elizabeth Orr, author of the Unfiltered Enneagram and leader of the account. Is that what we say? Account?
Yeah.
Okay. The account, Rude Ass Enneagram. And, you know, spoken like an 8, we are the best at being the rude ass Enneagram people, I guess. If you missed our first episode together, please maybe hit pause and go back and listen to the first episode, because what we want to do is go through the numbers on the Enneagram as a griever and both as a supporter. And when Elizabeth and I first fell in love with each other, we then realized that, we needed more time. So here we are for part D. And I'm so honored, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here again with me.
I'm so delighted to be here again, Sarah. And we figured that out pretty quickly. We were like 10 minutes in, we were like, oh, we're going to need another episode.
Yes, exactly. I thought the same thing. And I always get nervous, like, oh gosh, this very famous person is on here with me. And will this very famous person be willing to come back? And you were. And so that's so special.
To be clear, I am a barely famous, mostly notorious rodeo clown of the Enneagram. So
well, I was just telling Elizabeth that one of our number one co-hosts with me, Dean, had read the Unfiltered Enneagram, and Dean has read, I believe, almost all, if not all, Enneagram work out there, and he really believes that yours is the very best. So if you are listening, go get that book. Which I think Elizabeth and I are working on a deal where I can have access to those books and sell them on my website too. So you might check out clearmourning.org for your copy of the Unfiltered Enneagram.
Yes.
But don't let me hold you up, because I move real slow when it comes to stuff like a website. So if it's not there, then go somewhere else and get it. That's for sure.
And it'll be there. It'll be there when it gets there.
And it'll be there when it gets there. Exactly. Okay. So we left off on 6 and 7 as grievers.
Yes.
And gosh, the six. My ex-husband was a 6. And I will say that I don't think I really stopped to consider what that 6 meant in his grief process. I mean, ultimately, and partly because my own grief experience was so overwhelming that thinking about even his was really tricky. But I look back now and I think, like, if you're a couple navigating the loss together, to really consider this would be so huge, right? Yes. And I mean, the 6, I know, aren't they called the loyalist?
The loyalist, sometimes the devil's advocate. I personally like... what's the word I like for it? The guardian.
The guardian. And so when I think 6 worst case scenario, how do those two things come together? Because it is really kind of like that, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It is sort of the load bearing wall of their personality structure, that they are focused on threats, on what could go wrong. And not only is the worst case scenario possible, but it is imminent. It is about to befall us, and we are all completely unprepared. And really what's at the core of that for the 6 is an inability to trust themselves. There's a deep fear that they cannot prepare enough, that they cannot foresee everything that could go wrong, that they could not discern who to trust properly. But that's a really scary prospect to reckon with, that like, I don't trust myself. So they just turn that outward, and I don't trust any of y'all, right? Their inability to trust themselves becomes everybody else's problem via projection. And they do a lot of testing of their relationships. They do a lot of questioning, and they're deeply unsatisfied by any answer. And really, when like something tragic and awful happens, they're like, yep, I knew this was going to happen, but I still don't feel ready for it. And so it's just sort of a double layer of disappointment.
And can you see that quickly slipping into deep isolation?
Oh, yeah. 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 Because they're very skeptical and suspicious of everyone. They feel very afraid of being abandoned. And so they kind of preempt that. I'm gonna close myself off so that you don't abandon me, so that I'm already alone. And
Whoa.
yeah.
Mic drop on that moment for me in my own heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. And so as a six griever, a six could expect to feel very alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very, very powerless, right? Like if you've already been working your whole life to prepare for the worst things and now you feel unprepared, I would say that is a pretty terrifying place to be.
Yes. Yeah. Very powerless, very vulnerable, but also in a strange way, a little bit vindicated. I should have gotten my hopes up. I knew I couldn't trust this person to stay because now they're gone.
Yeah. And I think about I remember in the early days of being a married person or in the relationship, and we would pack up to go camping or something like that, or go on a trip or something. And I was like, bring the tool chest, bring the air pressure compressor and 14 extra tubes for the bike tires and an extra tank of gas. And I mean, I'm being a little dramatic, but that's often how it felt. Yeah. And as the 8, I was really good at taking that personally. Like, oh, what do you think? My car doesn't work. My tire's gonna go flat. What is it?
Because I'm like, get us out of a bad situation.
I can't do this. Watch me, bitch. I can do anything. And so I would take it personally, and so it was really helpful in those times to know, like, oh, that's the way that this person is synthesizing their story and all of that. But in the grief experience, there was no toolbox in the trunk that was going to stop what happened. And so how incredibly powerless, you could have had every last little toolbox thing ready and, oh, well. And right. I think that if I'm comparing 6s and 8s in my case, there has to be this story around too, like in my story, that because I was driving my kids to a music festival and he was actually on the Bluetooth with us when the crash happened. And I can only imagine with deep compassion in my heart that knowing what I know about especially 6s, like there's got to be this element of if I was there, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there. I mean, that's part of why they're called the guardian too. They're very motivated to protect their loved ones. They're very similar to 8s in that regard, but where 8s sort of on a day-to-day basis feel pretty confident in their ability to protect or kind of impervious. The 6 is much more vigilant. And they are what is known as a dutiful type. So they are dutiful to their ego. They are compliant to what they believe to be the right read on the situation. So there is this I should have been there because I would have known, I would have whatever.
Yeah.
Even though there's the doubt there, they still the defense mechanism sort of creates this, I could have prevented this, or I would have done everything I could have.
And then, so if you look at the long haul of grief, how does that transcend all the different parts of grief? And I'm not using the word stages on purpose, but just that acute grief experience moving into okay, this has occurred to now I have to live with this. How does a 6 take that personal view and, I don't know, transform it into something more supportive?
It's hard. It's hard for all 9 types, but for the 6, also similar to an 8, they are what's known as an expressive type. They're motivated to uncover the truth. What's really going on? What are you withholding? What do I not know about this? So they are going to poke and prod and question and interrogate and express in the effort to kind of get under the hood and understand what is underneath their grief. And sometimes that's helpful and sometimes it's not. Just, anything in grief is not linear and perhaps not all the way good or all the way bad. That questioning can lead them to more understanding of the situation and that perhaps they couldn't have done anything.
Yeah. Which in and of itself would be really scary. So maybe there's an aversion to looking under the hood too that they live with.
Yes. Yeah. And again, that's where that sort of projection piece really comes into play, because it all comes back to, I'm afraid that I cannot protect and navigate this dangerous world. I cannot protect my loved ones from this dangerous world. And so, yeah, there can be this, like, I don't even want to fully accept that I actually can't.
Yeah.
It's
scary. The ultimate vulnerability, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, all of us want to think we have a lot more control than we do.
Yeah. It turns out very little control.
Very little. I know.
I'm not going to stop looking. I'm not going to stop looking.
Right.
I want it that bad. I
am going to take every little drop of control I can.
Exactly.
And you gotta just figure that out. That's a trial and error process.
Yeah. It's certainly a practice. Damn it.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So the sevens are probably the most mysterious to me. Like, it sounds like the best, most fun number. Like, why can't I be a seven? What's their problem?
Well, there is a deep darkness in the seven. They do present as very lighthearted, very adventurous, freewheeling. They're kind of Houdinis. You really can't like pin them down. They're going to wriggle free of any constraints. But the cost of that is that they, again, like all of the head space types, the 5, 6, and 7, there is a fear and a sort of lack of trust in self. And for the 7, that boils down to like, there is something within me that will limit my ability to experience my potential in life, to reach my potential in life. And so grief is a big old obstacle to transcending and reaching your potential in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
What sevens often do is avoid and minimize. They'll kind of, as grievers, they'll be like, I'm okay. I had a very dear friend of mine, very dear colleague that I worked with in chaplaincy. And so we did a lot of work with grievers. And of course it touched us. We worked with young people, and sometimes those young people would die, and it was terribly, terribly sad. And she was incredible at creating this space for other people to grieve and to mourn and to sort of like create liturgy and structure and a container. And then as soon as that gathering had ended, she was like, what are we going to get to eat?
And we're done with that part. Moving on to the next.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
So there's this like desire to move very quickly past, not even really through. And so the thousands of little heartbreaks that we experience every day builds up in the 7, but they're afraid that I can't face that. That's going to hold me back. And so they just don't, and instead sort of carry it around like this ghost. Yeah, and they don't exercise those muscles of processing.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I see that in the 7s I know and love. Elizabeth Johnson, who was a guest this last season of Super Sport. Yeah, I probably sent you that one.
Theological writer, right?
Yes. And she lost her infant son days after being born. And in the episode that, where I'm talking to her, she tells us the story of how she just tried so hard to just keep going and push through until like really, truly her body stopped.
Yeah.
Like it was done. Like you have to go deal with this. You have to live in this experience. And she talks about how tempting and compelling it was to just like, if I book a retreat and if I do the exercise and if I climb a mountain, then maybe this won't feel so terrible. Yes. And the bottom line maybe for the 7 is you can run, but you cannot hide.
Correct. No, you're carrying it with you. And ultimately it does, like all of the types, in their attempt to avoid the thing they are afraid of, they set their own trap. And the 7 does that in a really significant way. And that they just sort of like, they're like, oh, just like put it on my tab. And then the tab just keeps, growing and growing and growing until they just can't keep putting it off anymore. And it really does like lay them flat.
Yeah. Because you can run, but you cannot hide. And they're the enthusiasts, right?
They are the enthusiast, the adventurer, the epicure.
The dance card has to be full, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Plans every weekend. And that is another way they sort of set their own trap. They sort of create so many options for themselves. And then they're like, I don't know if I'm going to pick the right one.
Oh,
yeah.
Frozen about that.
Yep. Yeah.
Calm down, you sevens. Calm down.
Really just, again, this very dear seven friend of mine, it is a frequent refrain of mine to say to her, just take a beat.
Take a beat.
You don't have to like make this decision now. You don't have to take this action now. Just like give it a night, sleep on it, just, whew. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to do for them.
It is.
I was actually just out to dinner with Elizabeth, and the four gals, we were all talking Enneagram because I think it was the night before our first interview, and I was really excited and talking about you and the book and all the things. And so we were in Enneagram head space, and we just watched sweet little Elizabeth like be captured by all the people she knew. We're in a smallish town, and we were at an outdoor food venue place, and it was a community of people. We knew a lot of people there, but you could just watch poor Elizabeth get like trapped. And we're just cracking up laughing because we know like she can't. And I love you, Elizabeth, but it was funny. And it was funny to watch. And also like sort of watching her like dry up on the inside because we all knew she just wanted to come sit back at the table with us.
Yep. Totally.
For this dinner that we had worked on for months and months to make happen. And so much compassion for that draw, that pull, that internal responsibility. And so as grievers, the internal responsibility really drives that distraction almost and not sitting still.
Yeah.
And I guess I should have introduced you to what I call my new language of grief, which is like 7 types of ways in which we grieve, and not like the Enneagram where we're going to be the same number most of the time, but like we could move through it minute to minute. But I think listeners, if you hear this and then you go back and listen to the New Languages of Grief episode, you would be able to say, like in this example, okay, she's a 7. So of the New Languages of Grief, probably contemplation isn't going to be the most supportive way. Probably physical imagination, being in memory, like something where we're doing is going to feel the most supportive way, right?
Yes. Yeah. Getting that energy out of the body.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually helps us segue into round again we go, but as a supporter.
Yes.
And how, as a supporter, knowing the number you are, how your support can be driven by your number.
Yes. Yes. So we return to us again.
We 8. Return to us again.
Yes.
Beautiful 8. Let's give us the most amount of time.
I'm going to end up doing that anyway.
Yeah, right. But I think like as an 8 in the therapist chair, I am challenging myself all the time to not seek the control, to not be angry for them or want them to be angry. I do find myself really wanting some grievers to be more angry than their natural state might indicate.
Yes.
And so, how do I check myself, right?
Yeah. I think for 8's a really powerful question for us as we are supporting others through grief. And as we notice, because we have big, loud feelings. The softer, more tender ones are softer and more tender, but they are often the fuel for those big, loud responses. And so approaching ourselves with some curiosity, like what is this big reactivity indicating to me? What is this touching within me? It can be really transformative for an 8 to connect to their own grief as they are accompanying others. And of course, there is like a responsibility to not, make it about ourselves. And that's true for all types and anyone accompanying with grief. But there is something powerful about contacting our vulnerability and our heartbreak so that we can be moved by the person's grief in front of us and kind of model the strength in the vulnerability of sadness and grief and loss and powerlessness.
So a question we might ask ourselves as 8s before we enter the real room or the proverbial room of support to somebody is, where can I find that tenderness in my own experience? Where can I find that self-compassion for what I've gone through so that I am in that place of vulnerability, which is disgusting and gross and so scary.
Yes.
But as a supporter, required.
Yes. And this is the tricky thing, is that this is actually a place where eights are very good at meeting other people in their vulnerability, but we often do it disconnected from our own, because their vulnerability, intellectually, I can honor it. I can be a safe place for it. And it's a really convenient distraction from my own.
Amen, sister. That is such a good point. And yeah, so touching into your own vulnerability, which is scary, but it is the work, so that when you come in, you're not in that controlled, hyper independent, I got no need for nothing ever mentality, because to be alongside somebody is to know you can't fix it.
Yep.
Is to know you are not in control of this person's experience, that keeping the whole you should do this, how about that type of story is best in your mind and not in your mouth.
Right. Yeah.
And to know that that's my effort out of my deep wounds to control and fix and be hyper independent.
Yep, exactly. And I think there is also, this is something, in real time, I'm grappling with in my own therapy, but remembering that, yes, there is wisdom and presence from my grief journeys that I can offer. And also, those were hard fought for. And were they influenced by others? Yes, but like I had to generate them, and they had to come from me, and the mixture of my life. And that is true for the other person in front of me. And so to honor the integration of their experience, their loss, and to really serve as more of a mirror than a sage, to let their journey be their journey and be sort of unattached to any outcome, because they are actually going to find their way to the outcome that they need in the time that they need to.
Man, that's hard. That's hard.
It's so hard.
Mm-hmm. It is really hard. And, especially in a supporter's role where you just feel like, I want to make this better for you. And naturally, I know the best way.
Right. Well, and it's not that we don't have great wisdom and insight, and maybe we've walked the same thing before, but it's just like, you can't tell anything to anyone who's in love. Like, you kind of can't tell anything to anyone who's grieving either.
You're right.
Just hold it loosely, hold the space loosely, and let yourself be moved by what comes up for them.
There's your job, 8. Now you have a job that you're in charge of. You're the leader of that job. Let yourself be moved. You can be the boss of that one job, which is being moved by their experience.
Yes.
Well said. Beautiful. Okay. 8, 9. Oh,
9.
It's got to be so hard for 9s. Just want to make it better so bad.
They do. They absorb, right? There are little ShamWows. They will absorb the energy, and they will move to comfort. They will move sometimes to the detriment of the process. They will want the griever to feel comforted and at peace. And to your point as an 8, sometimes the griever needs to connect with feeling quite disturbed and angry and agitated. And so the 9 support has to be really aware of their desire for peace and their sort of automatic way, smoothing over instinct. But the 9 can remember how spacious they really are, how enormous of a container they are for grief and disruption and pain. 9s don't give themselves credit for how strong they are. And so remembering how strong they are and how strong they can be for others by just holding the space and not moving to comfort, not moving to resolution too quickly.
I could see asking themselves before they enter the room, like, where in this moment can I find peace? And how can I cling to that through this really hard experience? And then sort of almost scale the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, true peace is not at risk.
Right. Yes.
Discomfort does not equal peace going away forever.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. I can do this. And I will again find my internal peace, even if it's uncomfortable. That if we can be really creative in our thinking, that the peace is in this willingness to be alongside.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And, again, as you're journeying through and supporting someone through grief, like ultimately it's actually not about your piece as the supporter. It's important. It's an important piece, but it is not ultimately like the outcome we're looking for. It's really about where not even where they land, but where they continue to move.
Yeah.
Meaning they continue to make out of their grief.
Yeah. And just finding peace in knowing that you can't do it for them.
Exactly.
You got to be creative with the peace finding. I think as a 9, you really got to be thinking outside the box, because peace is going to feel and look like a lot of different things if you let it. And you can redefine peace to mean whatever you need it to mean, because if that is what you are ultimately seeking, then you've got to be creative about it, because these don't feel like peaceful moments.
No.
When we look at it on paper in the way our culture thinks and feels peace, that means lack of anything other than great.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So we got to be creative.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet little 9s.
In a different way, right? Like let your definition be moved.
Yeah. And also I could see, and maybe this is from hearing people kind of gripe about 9s in couples counseling mostly, but like their aversion to the discomfort stopping them from showing up. And so I guess our words of wisdom to the 9s would be challenge that.
Yep.
Notice that it is an aversion and not an allergy, and you can do it.
Yes. Yes. Tune into, again, there's that numbing mechanism in the 9 that does like dull down anything that is uncomfortable, anything that is disruptive, and that creates disengagements. They will, they'll kind of check out. And so remembering, being aware of that instinct and, lock back in, engage. This will pass. This moment will pass. And there will be more moments of discomfort and more moments that feel like a lack of peace. And you will see how much you can actually withstand if you can just be present.
If you can just be present. And if we move to the 1s, we could say, if you could just be perfectly present. Can you please just be perfectly present? Hey, guess what? You already are.
Exactly. You've got it already. You don't actually have to like perfect anything that's going on. I think for 1s, we talked a little bit about that sort of double bind that they exist in around the expression of their anger. They are angry all the time because they look around the world and they go, this is trash. But they feel like they can't express it. And similarly with those who are sort of supporting grief, there can be a fear around like, I don't want to make things worse by expressing myself. I need to find the right thing to say, or just sort of discomfort at someone else's big expression of their grief. And so as a supporter, type 1s, before you kind of walk in the room, like giving themselves permission to let the grief be messy, let themselves show up without having all the right answers or the right thing to say, or without knowing the right thing to do. Again, to your point, like that presence is really so often the best and only thing we can do, at least in any given moment. And just like, it's okay to accept and sort of, again, like take the pressure off yourself, type 1, for needing to be the ultimate guide.
Yeah. Just take a beat, and you're not in charge of the world, and you didn't do this. This is not your fault, and you can't fix it. So quit pretending like it's your job. And your job is to be perfectly perfect, just the way you are as you show up.
Yep. Don't change a thing.
Don't change a thing. You guys are doing it. You're working so hard. You're doing it.
You know,
Working so hard.
sweet
Oh
little things.
gosh, sweet little things.
I
You
think-
are doing it. You don't have to try harder. Trying harder isn't going to make it
no.
easier, better, anything. Like just allow
Yes.
your efforts to be one that crosses the finish line. That's what it's like. The ones are the finish line just never actually shows.
No, they move the goalposts on themselves because it's just, you know, they put off so much pleasure and fun and rest in their life because they're like, well, when I finish this to-do list, when I earn the right to have those nice things, I will take them. But look at the world. There's never an end, you know, like there's never an end in sight to what we could be doing to make it better. And so they never stop and they just keep kicking it down the road. And then they're
stop doing that. Mm-hmm. As you walk into the room, as you walk in, picture that as the finish line. You've done it. You've arrived. You're doing the thing. You're doing the thing by caring for somebody and showing up and allowing them to be whoever they are in their imperfect perfectness.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then the 2, we can't get them out of the room. They just want to live there.
Yeah.
They're moving in that room.
I know. And they are checking on you 24/7. And 2s, I think this is where supporting people through grief is an incredible opportunity for the 2 to learn some really healthy boundaries and the need for boundaries, and that boundaries are not a dirty word.
They're not mean.
They're not mean. They're
boundaries are not mean.
Quite caring because it allows you, this is not my original thought, but it like allows us to love someone from a distance that is healthy for both of us.
Yeah.
And to not kind of take on all the sorrow of someone else, but to witness it and to hold it. There's
a line in my grief supporters manual that you can find on the website, which was just my one chance of like trying to give somebody a roadmap for supporting somebody in grief. And there's one line that's specifically for you 2s on there. And it says, you will know I'm supporting you in your grief by the fact that I have and will honor my own boundaries in this experience.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that may look like, I mean, boundaries can look like anything, right? But it can be like, hey, I can take you to lunch, but I can't have this conversation over text, right? Or like sort of creating some structure in the way that you do support the griever can be an experiment and see how that feels as a type 2. It's going to actually feel terrible, but see that you can survive that. Again, sort of creating a little bit of boundaries around the care that you give to someone, because as we have said for all of the types previously, you can't fix this for them. You cannot take away the heartbreak for them. This is their process. You can witness it.
I had a friend who did set a boundary with me in grief, and the number for her is, the jury's still out. We're not sure, which probably means she's a 4, but whatever. But she said, Sarah, I'm here for you. I love you so much. And it is very stressful when you don't respond to any of my messages. It's just really hard on me, and I worry about you. And then I spend my day concerned and worried and upset. And so I need, as part of my, criteria for the support, to count on some kind of a response from you. And like, it was so adorable. We just set up a thing where if it was a red heart, it meant I was doing okay. If it was a black heart, I was deep in a hole. If it was this heart, it's so that I could just like do the easy thing, but then also meet the needs of her boundary, which was a fair boundary.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much, because what I'm hearing she said to you is like, I want to support, but I also need something from you. And I think that's whatever type she is, that's a powerful lesson for the 2 to be able to say, like, I need response from you. I need to know you are existentially okay.
Yeah. Because I'm implicated in this process as being a supporter. And I have, like, in order to do my job, there are criteria. And I think that supporters, maybe especially the twos, are easily shoved into this idea that it's an only giving situation. And mostly it is. And it is also okay to say, as part of this job, there are a few things that matter.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm allowed to be a part of the process, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Completely. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
my mind is blown by that system that y'all came up with. I love that.
it was good because also she recognized that that's really all I was capable of.
Right. Exactly. It's still honored where you were at, but it, like, again, sort of an easy signal that you could sort of send out, right? Like that would meet her need and give her valuable information about where you were on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. And allowed for her to really excuse some other poor behavior on my part. I might have gotten really upset about weird things back then. But there was a lot of freedom and compassion. And there was still this unmet need that she was so kind to share with me because I love her and I wouldn't have wanted her to keep that.
Right.
And maybe the twos need to hear that. Like, you are loved and we want to know. It's like the chef in the kitchen wants to know if you don't like your meal. We got to assume the chef wants to know, even if it's a really busy night.
Yes.
Chef wants to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Those sweet little achievers, threes.
Woo,
there's no degree in support. I wish we could give them a master's degree in support. Then maybe they would feel better about it. Right. Like,
put it on your resume. Yeah. So it really is, again, threes, all of the types are trying to be known in a certain way, but the threes, can really, so much of their behavior can be driven by a desire for validation from the other person. And so it can very easily slip into the three performing, and maybe not contacting what is real and true for them as a supporter, which just like is kind of a paltry offering if they're just like trying to reflect back to the other person rather than reaching into like what their own grief, their own experiences of grief, and maybe also like they can be so preoccupied with performing that they're not actually present to what is happening in front of them or what's being communicated in front of them.
So I think each number, of course, and each person on a supporter's journey needs their own version of a supporter, right? To say like, I see you as doing this really hard job and you're doing it. But maybe for the three, you consciously find that person who, after you leave the room, can say, good job. You took such good care of that person. I see your efforts. I see your work, because we can't count on the griever to do that necessarily. And I do think that for the three, that could help them set down this need while they're in the room, because they know when I leave the room, my cheerleader is going to tell me I did a great job. They're going to validate everything I did. They're going to see the beautiful performance that I gave today and appreciate it. And I say that, and it sounds maybe a little, I don't want it to be rude ass, but I mean,
I don't mind it being rude.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But does that make sense?
Where I would sort of push it even a little further is like to have that sort of external person be a place where then the three can reflect on, okay, what was that like? What came up for me? Again, threes are a little bit avoidant of their interior landscape. And so having someone who is like, you did so great, but tell me what that was like for you. Like, tell me what's coming up. You giving them a space to process so that they can contact what is real for them.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Like, dip in, be the cheerleader, be the award giver, but also push them to just pause into what showed up.
Yeah. And for the three, like when you are in that space of reflection, be vulnerable enough to admit what felt like a failure. Or like where you feel incompetent in the face of supporting someone's grief, right? Let someone else see the kind of less polished part of that role that you are playing.
Yeah. And then that gives them work for the next day so that they could get better at that.
Exactly.
Okay. The 4. Oh, the
Oh,
4 as a supporter. The 4 as a supporter.
4s, I mean, they are naturally very good at supporting because they have a high threshold for grief, for dark, for loss, for despair. They are our deep sea divers. And so they're very naturally good at that. But I think sometimes 4s need to remember, number one, it's not on you to make the meaning. You are accompanying, you are not writing the script of this person's grief. And knowing when to like let people come up for air. Because the 4 can hold their breath for a really long time in desolation, but sometimes other people need a minute. So yeah, just as a 4, being aware that other people's relationship to intensity is not the same as yours, and like letting them take a break as needed.
Oh, that is so great. And I hate to do this shameless plug again, but if you listen to the new languages of grief, like one of them is distraction. And we have this cultural story about being distracted in grief as a problem. And to me, it is such an incredible coping tool because you cannot do hard grief all day, every day, only that. We have to have distraction. And that has to come from your internal system telling you, I need a distraction, because the whole world, half of them are going to tell you, go get yourself busy. And the other half are going to tell you, you need time.
Mhm.
And so stop listening to that story and capitalize on this opportunity to take a break. Set it down for a minute, a day, an hour, whatever. And 4s, you could like be the superhero in your own story and in the grievers if you encourage that or support that, right? Like not tell them what to do, but like not make it a problem that we're going to do something other than the heavy lift.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And this is where like 4s tap into your creativity, because you do like see things in ways that the rest of us don't. There is this like incredible imaginative spark in the 4 that they can lend to those breathers that we all need in grief.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh. All right, 5s. And again, I'm just going to say, Elizabeth, that maybe you and I write a book
Hell yeah.
about like Enneagram grief mixed with the new language of grief. And like, these are the numbers and you know all of that. And then I can come in and be like, and here are the ways, the actual things that you can watch for to assess, is this intervention where they're at?
Yes.
Because I want supporters to know what to do. I'm sad when everybody's like, not everybody, but so many people are like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I want to, and yeah, of course, we don't know what to do. And there is no right way to fix it. But like, here's some ways to figure out if you're on the right path.
Yes.
Here are some things to watch for in your griever. And if you couple that with understanding their number and your own, oh my God.
Incredible.
I'm already spending the money.
New York Times bestseller.
Exactly.
Probably 2030 is usually how long it'll take, but you heard it here first.
Heard it for copyrighted, trademark, done. Don't steal it.
Yeah.
This is my idea and her idea. Don't you dare come for
it's really your idea. Really, all credit due.
Oh gosh, because I really have been looking for a way to like I think the new language of grief is great and I believe in it, but it would be a very short book, I think. And so I think to energize it with this insight
could be really cool.
Could be something. Okay. On to the 5.
The 5s. Oh, the sweet, sensitive 5.
I could see them having a really hard time as a supporter.
Yes. Yeah. It's because again, they live, with the veil of intensity on them at all times. They have such sensitivity within them that it feels like they're living on a knife's edge, and just like about to tip over to be overwhelmed within themselves, like never mind anyone else's junk. And so for the 5 who's supporting people through grief, supporting someone through grief, it's really about remembering you contain all this intensity and sensitivity, which actually means like you're kind of a tough bitch. Like you're actually like an incredible pillar of support because your limits have been tested already. So it's really kind of you almost have to give yourself a pep talk as a 5, to know that you can face whatever is on the other side of that door in that person. You really can. And again, it's not on you to fix it. It's not on you to rationalize or make sense of, just to be present to, and to witness and let the other person be witnessed, you know?
And the scariest part about that for the 5 is?
So 5s are often afraid of being seen as incompetent or unable to meet the demands of their relationships. And so they're just kind of afraid, like, I'm going to be knocked over by the wave of someone else's grief. And they're going to see me as kind of a bumbling idiot. And so for the 5, it's also like, it's not about your competence here. There's
no test.
No,
right?
No, there is no test. Frankly, we're all kind of idiots when it comes to grief. Like grief will make idiots of all of us.
Exactly.
And it's okay. It's okay. Like that doesn't diminish what you have to offer and what you have to learn. And so, so encouraging 5s to like, this is not an exam. You're not being tested on how to ace grief. You're not going to be seen as an idiot. Just show up. Just show up.
Just show up.
You have enough to show up. You actually have enough to give, and you will know you can trust yourself in the moment when you feel compelled to give.
So just do it, damn it. Don't be so scared. Just do it. Yep. And you may say, well, that wasn't the best thing to say, and that's okay. Or you may say, wow, I'm really impressed that I said that came out of me. And the person is like, oh, thank you so much. And I think too, like, if you're listening to this, please know that, yes, we are tailoring this conversation to the grief experience, but that the grief experience is in marriage issues. I lost my job. I got a flat tire on the way here. I was late for an interview. My kids went off to college. My kids came back from college. Like all of those things are the grief experience. And as I work to not be a judgy griever, I am allowing you to apply these concepts to more than just loss by death, because what we're talking about is real life. Yes. Things are not the way I want them to be. Yeah. How do I show up for somebody who is living through a really thick moment of things not being the way they want them to be? Yeah. And a 5, you're just going to have to do it.
Just show up. Just show up. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to have the manual. Just show up.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. 6, worst case scenario. They're going to go in the room and what's going to happen once they get in there? Something terrible.
Oh, goodness.
But I got to go in because I'm a loyal protector. So I got to do it. But first, let me prepare for 7 years and then I can do it.
The first thing you don't want to do as a 6 is don't be like, I told you so.
Yes. Did you hear that?
Yep. Yeah, I think 6s, what's funny about 6s, they do not see this about themselves, but I think the rest of us do, is that they are actually magnificent journey people in crisis and in chaos and in grief. One of my favorite 6s in the world, another former colleague of mine and dear friend, was a chaplain in a cancer hospital. I mean, and she was around people who died every day. She was around people who survived every day. And I think that 6s, like, one of the magnificent gifts of the 6 is this like really plucky, stubborn grit and determination to survive. And I think that is the sort of like life raft they can throw out to someone who's in grief. Again, not to fix sixes can kind of go in the room and be like, yeah, this fucking sucks right now. And like, it won't always.
Yeah.
It won't always. And to like remember to have some hope for the future.
Yeah, no, it's all about clinging to one little cell of it's not always going to be this hard.
Yeah, exactly. And that sort of, there's a word that's completely escaping me now that I often use to describe scrappy. That like scrappiness about the six is something that they can lend to other people.
It's almost like a fearlessness.
Exactly. I wouldn't say it's fearlessness. It's courage. It's like, I am afraid as fuck right now. And I'm still going to like run, head first at this thing, all rowdy. And I'm going to yell bigger.
And so like griever, put your hand out and let them dump a little courage in your hand.
Yes.
Let them just dump a little bit of courage dust right into your sweet hand.
Yes. Yeah. And sixes are incredibly practical people. They're like thinking about the logistics. And so that is another thing that they can offer to the griever is like, all right, what are the things that the checklist items that we need to get done, like the bills that still need to get paid, errands that still need to get run. There is something I have found in my life, like there's something actually incredibly romantic and sweet about like very practical things being addressed between people. And the sixes are really good at that because they're always kind of running checklists and things like that.
And I can see too that as a judgy griever, which I am and have been, but I'm working through, but like that I could even take that personally, like, how dare you talk to me about bills when this terrible thing is happening? So if you're like me, stop. It's helpful. You also need that kind of support. Let it in. Let it in. It's so nice. Like the people in my life who forced that hand on me and said, I'm going through your stack of mail. You don't even have to be a part of it, but I'm actually going to just like go ahead and go through this stack or give me everything. I'm creating files for things or, I'm breaking your yard, Sarah. Like it was so hard as an 8 to accept that kind of support. And then the like injustice of that being something that still had to be done when I feel this terrible and nothing else matters. Like there was a deep injustice for me that still had to happen. And so I appreciate those who were able to override my resistance with the practicality and now see it as such an incredible gift.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The 7 as the supporter, that room better be a party.
Well,
can we make this fun?
That's what they want to do. And that is that can be actually a real point of suffering for the 7 is feeling the responsibility of keeping the mood light of like, I have to be the court jester. I have to make us all feel better. And that can create a lot of suffering for them because they don't connect to their grief, but it also can be like, okay, you're not reading the room. Yeah. So it's sort of for 7s, like remembering to be present because there is opportunity for levity. There is opportunity for gnashing of teeth and deep despair. And when 7s are too preoccupied with how do I not get trapped in grief, they aren't present to what is happening in the moment and what is needed in the moment. And so again, sort of finding that like grounded space where they can be like, I'm going to walk into this room and we will experience a spectrum. Like it's not all going to be super, super heavy. And even if it is, like there's still some sliding scale there too. And it won't always be this heavy. So not kind of, distraction is appropriate at times completely, but for the 7 to not like rush to that, but to read the room, to be present to the room, read the room as a supporter, and know that the grief will not drag you down.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. And looking at all of this, you guys, it's like, if you know your number and you think about the thing that you are going to be most compelled to do because of who you are at the core, and then challenge that because that's not what it means necessarily to show up for this person. All the people we talked about in the first part of these episodes, you now know how they want to receive the support. And it's really important for you to know how you are going to want to give it to keep yourself comfortable. We just gave you all that information. We gave it to you. You're welcome. Send the check to Clear Mourning. No, just kidding.
Yes.
Well, you can send me a check anytime. That's
absolutely
fine. But I just think, the title of the podcast is Healing Practices and True Stories of Living After Loss. And everything we've talked about is a healing practice. Even if you're not actively supporting somebody in grief right now, this shows up in how we drive in traffic. This shows up in how we talk to the grocery store person, or how we hear information from our friends or share information. Like, it's always showing up. It's so transcending of all of our experiences. And if you allow grief, that word, to be, this isn't what I wanted in some ways, right? Like, I know that in the heartbreak, grief, it means different things, but like, to just dip your toes into, like, we all have it.
Yes.
And here are some real ways to think about it in the most supportive approach.
Yes.
I'm going on and on. I'm talking too much.
Not at all. Not at all. No, you're wrapping a bow in it, right? On it, right? Like, it's to your point, like, we are all always grieving something.
Yeah.
And how we drive in traffic, how we show up in staff meeting, like, that is, there's grief in that, and how to support ourselves and others. And, the people that are driving us nuts in traffic, like, they're grieving too.
Right. They're grieving too. I mean, when I'm starting a session, typically with new people, and it's a couple, I will ask about what it's like in the car, because so much happens while you're driving. I'll say, what is it like when he's driving or she's driving? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you hearing? Or I'll say, pretend one of you says, I'm hungry. What does that mean? To the 2, it's going to mean, I better get up and fix something. To the 8, it might mean, go to hell, you son of a bitch, feed yourself. To the 1, it means, nothing I do is right.
Yes.
Something as simple as I'm hungry can mean so many different things. And that's such a very basic thing. And so then when you complicate it with a heartfelt experience in life where you really don't want it to be this way, it's really upon us to dig even deeper to show up in this more meaningful way.
Yes. Yep.
Well, Elizabeth, I just want you to know that you helped each and every one of our listeners, and especially me, show up in a more meaningful way.
Well, thank you. You do that every day through this podcast and through your work. And so I really and truly am honored to get to be a part of it.
Oh, it's the best. And you guys, follow us and figure out how you can maybe come to Bend, Oregon for a workshop that we're working on doing together in the fall. And, give us some likes and some hearts and some really fun comments about how great this whole thing was. And, tune in to the podcast. Yes, of course, but also to what the story you're telling yourself might be. If you don't know your number, I hope this inspires you to go find it and tell us again about those 9 paragraphs where people could read about numbers.
Yes. So Dr. David Daniels wrote this wonderful, tiny, scrappy little book called The Essential Enneagram. And it's like $7 on Amazon. It is like free at your library. And it has 9 paragraphs in the very front of the book. You pick the top 3 that resonate with you, and then you go and read about those. And that helps you sort of narrow down some possibilities. And then my editorializing here, pay attention to what you get reactive around, because that can be a really powerful window into what you're trying to protect yourself from.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I remember going to my first workshop and I was like, as long as I'm not an 8, as long as I'm not an 8, I'll be fine.
Words.
Yeah. So also Elizabeth can be found on Instagram, Rudass Enneagram. Please go get her book either at my website someday in the future or on any other place that sells books, the Unfiltered Enneagram. Follow me at clearmourning.org on our website, this podcast, all the things. We love having you guys. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
Okay.